We want to thank you for being here. We recognize the commitment that you're taking to pursue excellence. You're just one step closer to achieving success. And the Institute is here to help at every step, wherever you are in your business journey. We've helped thousands of shops over decades and across the nation, from service advisor and manager training to a shop that's just starting out, or even those who are planning their growth, scaling from 10 to 20 to 30 locations. Those that are preparing for private equity sale, or even those that are succeeding their business to the next generation. The Institute and our many coaches with years of experience, both from inside and outside the industry, are here to provide education and tools to get you on your way. You do not have to do this alone. We hope you enjoy the content to come. For a better business, a better life, and a better industry.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on when and where you're joining us from. It's a bright, beautiful day outside. Absolutely gorgeous. So excited to be here with you, my friends. And I agree. You don't have to go this journey alone. We're going to go this journey together. It's a crazy storm out there. Not all the ships are created equal. Let's lock arms together and make sure nobody's left behind, because together we can make this happen. We've got a phenomenal conversation going to happen today about your shop, about your business, about your company, about your people, your staff, your technicians, your service advisors, your managers, your parts people, all of the people inside of your shop, including you. Joining today in our conversation, and if you've got questions, go ahead and type them into the comments section. Joining us for our conversation today is Tim Chakarian and Johanna from Beamer PhD in Pasadena, California. Some really good friends. They have a phenomenal shop. They have a phenomenal program. And I'm just super excited that we're going to have this discussion today. Tim's here. Johanna's here. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Good morning. How are you?
We're good. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice, nice. Oh, yes, that's going to be interesting. You guys are in the same room, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, that's, hey, you know what? That we will figure this out and we will make it work. So phenomenal. Tim and Johanna came to our summit conference in Amelia Island, Florida. What did you guys think of the conference?
Awesome.
Yeah, that was top notch, wasn't it? Phenomenal speakers. It's really good. Yeah, phenomenal speakers that were there. It was just absolutely amazing. And so, gosh dang, Tim, you gave such a great presentation talking about your company culture and what it is that you've done. I want to weave in your story first to talk about the history. Like when you started, when it is Johanna joined the team, when you moved up, I want to document this for posterity. That's my History Channel moment here. Tim, how did you get started in the automotive aftermarket?
It was interesting.
Did you guys see that? That's a big old long breath in, a big old sigh out. Well,
no, actually, I'm gathering my thoughts. Usually it's just like a barrage of thoughts coming out. But I got started in the automotive industry when I had a passion for fixing cars. Growing up, always fixed cars. And my parents tried to deter me from being a mechanic technician, as it were. So they got me involved with my family that taught me the pool business, the construction business, the restaurant business. But ultimately, I loved taking things apart. I love fixing things. I love making them better. So when we moved back up from San Diego after I spent several years working at my uncle's restaurant business, I went to West Valley Occupational. I wanted to get certified, and I applied at every dealer I could. And BMW picked me up in Westlake, about 45-minute drive from my house. And I was super excited because that was, Johanna's joining me here behind
They want me to.
All right. So, and that was the start of it. I was so excited to be working at a BMW dealer that I didn't realize the possibilities and where it would lead me today. But ultimately, I was happy to be working at a dealer, consistent income. They were going to teach me and mentor me. I had some tire experience beforehand. In high school, I took auto shop. I stunk at all the other classes, but auto shop, metal shop, and wood shop, I got an A in, and yeah.
Very tactile, right?
Yes,
I mean, you get to touch stuff, you get to do things.
so
Oh,
that
yeah,
was how
that's
we got
awesome.
started.
Okay. Well, now I got to pause for a moment here. Let's rewind just a second. You worked at a restaurant. What did you do in the restaurant?
Since it was my uncle's restaurant, he didn't want to have any kind of favoritism, so he started me from the bottom. I started out as a busser, and I had to do all the menial chores like cleaning and sweeping
Yeah,
and catering
yeah,
after people, seating people.
yeah,
Then finally, I worked my way
yeah.
to learning the menu and learning what what we pitched, what we sold, as it were, as a
Love
server.
it. Love it.
And then from a server, I worked my way to managing the servers so I can understand whose shifts did what, when was the busy time, when was the slow time, how to move people around, and what happens when people don't show up to work. And eventually, when my uncle went on vacation for 2 weeks, I got to order food and control the kitchen. And I thought, oh my God, this is huge. But what I didn't know at the time, and they say everything happens for a reason, is life was preparing me for what lay ahead, which is owning the business today and the customer service people business.
Yes. Oh, and you know what I just heard there was you had sales training. You had sales training. This is what we pitch. This is what we want to have. You had to study the menu. Then you had management training, and
Yep.
then you got some leadership training, and then it was like business ownership training where you're having to order all the inventory and all those things. I love it. What kind of restaurant was it?
Being Armenian, it was our Armenian restaurant. It was called The Armenian Cafe, and we had kebabs and chicken and salads and hummus, and
Did you ever cook? Were you ever chef?
No. I can cook here and there, but if you like your food charred, then let me cook it.
Well, when you do chard, it takes out all the calories, so then you can eat whatever you want.
Johanna's a much better cook.
Okay, well, very good. Well, and are you cooking Armenian as well, Johanna?
You know what, I do try some dishes, but there's some things I won't try because I know I'll never live up to his mother's cooking when it comes to that, and I'll leave that.
That's hard.
But I do some simple dishes, and it's really good. It's healthier food too, so I like that.
Love it. Love it. Rocky took me out to dinner and we went and had some Armenian food. Phenomenal. Amazing. Life-changing. It was so good. I just can't wait to do it again. Okay. From there on to BMW. You're working at the dealership. You're a tech. You're doing tires. You're doing the whole thing. How long were you at the BMW dealership?
I spent about 10 years there. When I first came in, I came in as an apprentice. And that's really what I liked, is because I'm not going to lie, I was intimidated. BMWs are complex, and they have electrical issues. And so I was very blessed to go into a mentoring program with the shop foreman. And I basically became the shop foreman's pet. And whatever he told me to do, I would do. And let me tell you, he was not easy on me, Jimmy. I mean, I got my butt handed to me one day because it was 10 Newton meters, not 10 pounds. And you know the difference between 10 Newton meters and 10 foot-pounds?
I don't, but it sounds metric and standard.
3 foot-pounds. And you would have thought it was the end of the world because I tightened the gasket. But what I learned at that time, or what I learned now, that at the time I was getting my truth handed to me, was 3 pounds is the difference between the gasket lasting 80,000 miles and the customer having reliability and you doing the job again a year or 2 or 3 years down the line.
Oh my gosh, isn't it amazing?
Attention to detail was the bottom line.
Attention to detail, that is it.
Yeah. He started in 99 when the dealerships were a little bit different than they are these days. They had an apprenticeship program, and I think that was key because, they're willing to take on people and to train them and to give them a mentor. I feel like they don't do that these days, which is actually in our advantage because it helps us to make a better shop culture and a better culture for people coming into the industry, because it's very difficult to just, leave school and go straight into a dealership and be able to hold your own and not feel overwhelmed or not have them just kind of, treat you like a number, basically. So he was actually fortunate to get in when they were less like that. And so they did, you know, I'm sure they treat a little bit like a number honey, but, you know, they gave him a mentor. They gave him somebody to train him and teach him and pass along their skills to him. And so he really did benefit from that because of when he started, because in that day and age, that was, you know, a little bit more normal than it's not normal these days for, I feel, dealerships to give their younger techs mentors and people to look up to and to train them and to teach them their experience.
They don't. They throw them on the line. As I progressed over the years, I worked my way from being a certified tech to a diagnostic tech to being a master tech. And when I finally was a master tech at a local dealer here, they gave me an apprentice, and I was so excited to be mentoring somebody else. And they're like, in 90 days, he's going on the line and fixing cars. And I was like, 90 days? I was an apprentice for 18 months and I still didn't know jack. So in today's era, now, recently, they have kind of changed and understood that, you know, these guys are not successful. They're not setting them up for success. They're actually setting them up for failure. So finally, after all these years, they're going back to a mentoring program where somebody does watch over them, but it's not the same. It doesn't have the same personal touch. And I'm sure we're going to get into that, but that's was the growth part. You know, if we're looking at it from the time where I was at the dealership, that was the growth part. The part that had meaning for me was always worked under Mark, or I was worked under Steve. You know, Steve he wasn't as old as Mark. He was closer to my age, but man, that kid could fix anything. He could weld brackets, solve problems, AC. So it was like, this dude's my idol, you know, and years later, you progress and learn from that. You go to another dealer, you find another mentor, somebody else that takes you under their wing. And all of these experiences help build beliefs that we can do this, we can tackle anything. And, you know, tying it into what we're learning today, those experiences, those truth tapes, those are what built the foundation, the second foundation of what I'm experiencing to be able to mentor others in my shop.
Oh, I love it. You got such a solid foundation there working at BMW. And then at some point you with that solid foundation, you decided, oh, you know what? I want to go and create my own. And so you opened up a shop. And how long of you being on your own with a bucket and a wrench and a phone and a computer are you doing this on your own that Johanna joins the team? Because I know that there was a time period that she was doing the after hours books and then finally came on to the full time. What does that look like?
About 6 months.
Yeah, about 6 months. I had left the dealership and I was doing everything on my own. I rented an 1,800 square foot back shop, and I opened the door. I dropped the customer off. I picked up the parts. I washed the car. I did everything myself. And it was only a matter of time until, you know, there's so much these two hands can get done in 1 8-hour day. At the time, Johanna was still, she was a mail carrier at the post office. So she said, you know what? I believe in you. I'll take care of the bills at home. You just concentrate on building the business and, you know, do what you need to do. And we had one weekend, we had gone dirt bike riding, and she did a wheelie on the trail and bashed up her knee. And after that, she got some time off from the post office. And so she said, you know what? We're always talking on the phone. Why don't I come help you out in the shop? And I was like, perfect. So she came, started answering the phones, helping me with the paperwork. And, you know, you want to tell about your very first experience of answering the phone?
My first phone experience, yeah. And I'm not an extrovert. I know you know me fairly well, so it doesn't seem like that. But I'm a little shy and a little bit quiet and kind of to myself when I first meet people. So Tim's like, I need to answer the phone, and I was like, I don't know how to answer the phone. And he's like, just pick it up and say Beamer PhD. And I picked up the phone and I froze and I went, I can't do this. And I put it on hold and I handed it to Tim. Like, the customer must have thought I was crazy, but I literally froze. I was like, I can't do this. And then I gave it back to him. But now you would have no idea that was my beginning in the shop. There's a night and day difference, but I just have to get used to things and acclimate myself to them to become more confident with them.
Now she trains all of our new guys and our service advisors on our outline of how to answer the phone. You know, thanks for calling Beamer PhD. This is Johanna, who may I have the pleasure of speaking with. And that way we can start engaging on the relationship part of it. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
you
I
got
love it.
to start somewhere, and all these, you know, inexperiences are part of the journey of who they build the character of who we are today, and how the future looks in our industry from based upon the experiences and the lessons that you had in life.
Oh, for sure. So you've had this great trail. You come together. You're building the business. You're now hiring more people, more technicians coming in. At what point did you discover, oh my gosh, we need to work on our culture?
The culture, I think, came from from the back shop, our landlord came up to us, what, about 2.5 years into it, and said, "Hey, you know what? The front building was a parts house, and it was about a 3,400 square foot square building. It had parts in it, and the guy had been there 25 years. So when Albert retired, the landlord came up to me and said, "You're so busy back here that you have to take both buildings or move out, go get another shop." And it was like,
Oh my
whoa,
gosh.
another huge milestone in our lives, right? So
It was a big gulp.
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely. But every time life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. So that's what we did. We built the front shop. We added 3 lifts. We built an office for ourselves. We built a waiting area, put windows in so that the clients can see inside. And now we had to fill it with some bodies. And unfortunately, I was not a people person at the time, and I tell the story of I got into cars because I love fixing cars, but I didn't really like people because the car did what I wanted it to do versus
Car doesn't talk back.
car doesn't talk back, I used to say, right?
Occasionally they do, but right.
But what a long ways from today. I understand it's about the people. Yeah, I can fix the car, but
Oh,
it's more about the people now.
Yeah, I think we learned along the way that just jumping into this from being a mail carrier and a technician and really knowing nothing about leadership and running a business, which happens quite a lot with shop owners. It's usually just a technician or a service advisor who decided that they can do it better than the dealer did, and so they kind of
mm,
jump in with both feet, which it's a lot of bravery, but there's a lot that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know it. So when we first started up the shop, I don't think we had a bad culture, but I don't think we really knew anything about it. And then, being a shop owner, you have frustrations throughout the day, and you're the one worried about the finances and making the ends meet. And so you can be stressed out, and your attitude and your mind frame can bleed into the staff, and you don't even really realize it because you're
Correct.
kind of caught in your own world. And so we just kind of started realizing from feedback from our staff that maybe the way we were handling things and dealing with things personally, because it's hard to work together, live together, do everything together, just constantly be around each other. It's not, I don't think we were meant to do that. So that can take a toll on you if you don't know how to handle it correctly. It can affect things. So we started taking leadership training, we started taking management training, we started taking any kind of training that we could possibly find. Which I feel like maybe 5-10 years ago, that wasn't as readily available. It was all technician training and service advisor training, which, don't get me wrong, we did find the service advisor training very beneficial. One of our first technical trainings was when Cecil was working with WorldPack, and he had the service advisor academy, and we took his class 2 times, and we got so much out of it, not just for service advising, but he talked about personality types and things like that. Now, granted, he talked about that when it came to customers, but that's also applicable when you're dealing with employees, learning what kind of personality type you are, what kind of people you're dealing with.
How to communicate with those personalities.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where we started to realize that, use some of that information in the shop as well and try and benefit that. I used to tell Tim, we would go to summits and trainings, and I used to tell him, look at what we did by accident. Imagine what we can do with actual proper training. And so, yeah, I think that's where we started realizing, start building a culture, start building a place where people actually want to work. Because, I used to work at the post office, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad job, but you had not service advisors, supervisors who were, who had not mind power trips, and, they just loved having the power. And you were just like, dude, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to go and do my job and enjoy myself and go home and have a good life. I don't want to have stress and dread going into work and dealing with certain personalities and certain people and all that. So you kind of start realizing in your own workplaces, now we're creating, these people, sorry, we're creating this atmosphere. People are coming in and working for us. We're creating jobs and lives for these people to have incomes and live in California, which is not easy, and have families and, have homes and things along those lines. And I don't want them to be miserable coming in to do it. So our main thing now is that we really want people to enjoy working here and create a really good camaraderie. And so we've done a lot of different things to kind of get into that, but I'm sure you're going to ask us about that down the line.
And that's going to be my next question here. So, but first I want to say thank you for pointing out, look what we did by accident, but imagine what we could do on purpose.
Focus.
Yeah. I've said that to him multiple times back in the day. I was just shocked. Like I was shocked because I was proud of the fact that we had done so well, and it really was accidentally. I mean, it was through a lot of hard work, but it was without knowledge, right? It was without having the pre-knowledge of, hey, I went and got an MBA in business, or whatever. We didn't have any of that, and yet we were being pretty successful, and we created 7 jobs for other people other than ourselves. There's 9, including Tim and myself. So that's something to be pretty proud of, and we did it completely without any kind of education. So imagine, with a little bit more education and training, imagine how much better we can be.
I love it. Okay, so now you get this training. Now you're going down this road of purpose. We're going to do this on purpose. We're going to create this culture on purpose. What are those 5 elements, those 5 pillars that you've identified, Tim, or Johanna, that you guys work on in your shop? What are those 5 pillars?
Well, I think it starts with leadership, right? Everything rises and falls with leadership. So understanding, like Johanna said, the mindset that we're in before we come to work. Are we in that positive mindset? Are we solution-based? And can we have a positive influence on the team? Starts with you. And I wasn't necessarily trained on that until we started going into the groups program and seeing how other shops are doing it and seeing the success, seeing how you can actually implement this. Because again, being textile, hand-driven,
tactile.
Thank you. That I have to see it in the works, right? So now I understood. Okay, cool. In order to have a productive team, I need to be having meetings. I need to be getting experiences out and teaching them this is the right way, this is the wrong way, instead of putting it on them and expecting them to know, right? Everybody wants that perfect tech. The heavens are going to open and the perfect child is going to fall out of the sky and he's going to know every single thing about cars and BMWs. It ain't going to happen. You have to grow.
It's not going to happen.
Right? And the way to do that is to constantly have clear goals. And the way we have clear goals, clear definitions, is to meet with people regularly. Have a weekly meeting. So we started implementing the weekly meeting. And I didn't know what to talk about in the weekly meeting. So we're like, so how was your week? What did you do? What's going on? And then we started learning, oh God, there's an outline of things we should be talking about.
We joined a few boards too. We joined some voluntary boards for associations in California, the ASCCA, and we got to see how a meeting's run. And then Tim's like, well, why don't we take the agenda that we have from the board meeting and try to kind of use it as a template in our meeting with the shop? And then that way, instead of just, hey guys, what's going on this week? Oh, I don't know. What do you think? What's going on? Nobody has anything to add because they don't know what the structure is. So Tim's like, why don't we have structure? And at first I was like, oh man, more work. But then we just kind of made a little template of like a manager's report and an administrator's report and a service supervisor's report and a technician's report. And then it's just it kind of grew from there.
It evolved.
Yeah. So, Tim would share what he feels is going on. And then our service advisor, who turned into our service manager, we share the numbers every week with our guys. Like, how did we do last week? What was our sales? What was our average repair order? Did we meet our goal? Just the numbers of everything that goes on for the week. And then the technicians like to see, who got better productivity. We pass around a little report and they all like to look at their hours and see who got hours and which ones. And it's a friendly competition. I've never seen anybody get upset or frustrated with anybody. It's always just kind of done in fun. And so, they enjoy seeing that and seeing how they're doing and seeing if the goals are being met. And that helps. And then, it's a good place to say, hey, what's needed in the shop? Is there a piece of equipment that's broken down or needs maintenance, or we need to bring in somebody to work on it? Is there a shop supply that we've run out of? Is there something that we're not aware of that needs attention? And then that actually grew from just verbally doing it, and then we'd write it down on the agenda, and then we'd forget about it till the next week because we'd get busy, and then we'd look at the agenda and go, oh crap, we didn't do this. We said we needed to do it. So then we evolved that. Do you want to talk about the Actualizer?
Yeah, and then also in the
Yes.
groups program, with the Gear Performance Groups program we're in, we hold each other accountable in that program, right? Our awesome group facilitator is Jennifer Hulbert, and man, she is on top of it.
When I grow up, I want to be Jennifer.
Yeah, she is just absolutely amazing. And we learn so much from her, from Aaron, from the other shops in our groups, and we learn to hold each other accountable. And how we do that is we use a platform that the Institute has that's the Institute's created, called the Actualizer. What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to accomplish it with? By when do you want to accomplish it? And what is the status of that? So we started implementing that not only in our groups program, but also in the shop. What needs to be fixed?
We ask permission first.
Of course. And so,
and
recently Kent has created one specifically for shops, for those in the groups program. So now we can go ahead and our team puts down what we need to accomplish, by when do we need to do it, who's in charge of that, and when is it going to be done by.
What's the progress?
It's not meant to say, why didn't you do it? But more so not to have that, oh, I showed up to a meeting not doing what I need to do. Because you do that once or twice, and your self-motivation, your self-accountability now kicks in, and you go, all right, well, I don't want to let my team down. I don't want to let my members down. I don't want to let my boss down. More importantly, I don't want to let myself down. I want to build self-confidence, so that I know I can accomplish the things that I set to accomplish. And that gives me the dopamines, the feel goods.
Yeah. And you know what I love is that at first, it started with us, right? We're the ones like, hey, we should start doing this. And then, they were open to it. They didn't resist us, but it wasn't theirs. They didn't own it. So it was like, okay, we'll go along with it and kind of see how it goes. So then,
I'm along for the ride. I'll buy a ticket. Yeah. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what?
So we used it for the first quarter. And then when the second quarter came along, it was getting long. So I was like, maybe we should make a second one for a second quarter. So I made one for the second quarter. So it was a little bit shorter because all the things that were done, we didn't need to worry about that anymore. So I made one for the second quarter. And then now what I love is we've had something that's been on our agenda for a couple weeks that we haven't gotten to. And then my shop foreman in training goes, hey, I think we should add this to the Actualizer now. And I was like, yes, I love it. Go for it. Like, I don't know why we didn't think about it. Like, we didn't think, oh, maybe we should add it to the Actualizer. We keep talking about it, but not doing it. And he was like, hey, I think it's time we add this to the Actualizer. And in my head, I was like, go, James. Like, that's what I want to hear. I want you to start thinking about, this is what we should be doing. This is how we do it. We're not doing this the way you've taught us to do it and that we've now all got accustomed to doing. So, hey, why don't we do that? So it's like, awesome. So now even our team's holding us accountable when we forget the process or we don't always follow the process. And that's when you're doing a good job and everybody's on board and everybody's bought in, because now they're starting to tell you, hey, this is what we do. Why don't we do that? It's like, oh, great. Like, I love it. Let's do it. So we did. And I just remember being really impressed by that he just, on his own, he was like, hey, we should probably add this to the Actualizer.
Thank you, James. That's amazing. To reiterate what you're saying, if you're not having company meetings with purpose, you are having company beatings by accident, not on purpose. Because those company meetings, you've got an agenda, you've got the Actualizers. If you're not, when do you have company meetings? When there's a problem, when there's an issue. So it's a beating. It's not a meeting. It's a beating. And they walk away depressed and disappointed. You've created that environment where they feel safe. They feel a part of the team. And James has that input to say, hey, you know what, Johanna? We really should add that.
Yeah.
And
he's not scared to say that, right? He knows that this is how we do it. This is what we should be doing.
Jimmy, this was one of the points that Dr. Jessica Kringle brought out at the summit. And that really, really hit home because I was able to build confidence in what we were doing. So far we've talked about leadership and accountability with the owners, right? We've talked about conducting and having regular meetings that are not time wasting, that are productive. Now comes problem solving, right? Okay, so here's the problem. What are the challenges that we have? What are the solutions and our goals? And what this is doing is it's building a pyramid. And the pyramid is the experiences that we're having, again, the stories that we're telling, that is allowing the staff and ourselves to have those beliefs. This is our vision and mission. This is how we do it. So when we don't align our actions with that, we go back and understand, what was our mission? What was our vision? We were trying to build something that made an impactful difference, that was educational and had an excellent result, because that's what we're driven for, right? Fueled by passion, driven to excel is one of our mission statements.
I love it.
Quality without compromise is one of our mission statements. So is the actions that we're as a team producing aligned with that? If they do, now you have buy-in from the staff, right? So you have the stories, the experiences, you have the beliefs, aligning up our beliefs and the team's beliefs together. Now you have an action. That action can now produce a result. Once you're able to produce a result, I think magic happens. They start doing it on their own because now they're self-motivated. I'm not holding, I'm not probing them, as it were, to say, why didn't you do this? Or why isn't this done on time? It's more like, did we do this? If not, what can I do to help you with that? Is there something that I can help you achieve those goals that we set out together? Because
all right, I've got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I've got a question about your company meetings. You're having a company meeting once a week. Is that right?
Yes, on Wednesday.
Is this the Wednesday meeting?
Yes.
That's a Wednesday meetings. We shut down, the gate closes, the phones go offline. We don't do anything when a customer walks in. Obviously we have the door open for parts deliveries, our front door, and we just let them know, put the parts down on the counter right there. If a client walks in, they automatically walk in and they're like, there's a big screen and they're doing something and everybody's together. So they're like, oh, did we miss something? And we just kindly tell them, yeah, we're having a quick staff meeting. Go ahead and leave your keys or your phone number and we'll get right back to you afterward. The purpose of that is to let them know how important this meeting is to us, because that's 100%. The foundation of how we build the good customer service, the good teamwork that we're able to provide them afterward.
I totally agree. I love that. So if you're having the meetings once a week, do you also have any sort of a stand-up meeting? And by stand-up meetings, these are 5 minutes where you bring the team on the daily. Do you have any daily checks, pulse checks with the team, that the team all comes together? Or is it the company meetings on Wednesdays?
No, the daily checks. So we started with 8 o'clock. James, our junior shop foreman, when he gets here early, he'll check with Kevin, our service manager, to see what's on the agenda for the docket for today. How many appointments are coming in? Are they jobs? Okay. Which jobs should be going to which technician? We've got 2 level A technicians. We've got a level B technician. We've got a C technician and an apprentice. That's all 5 of the guys in the back. So he'll kind of just decide how the day looks. And then they'll do a check-in again at about 11 o'clock. So in the morning, it's who's going to get what job, delegation. 11 o'clock now comes the check-in. Did we get the diagnosis or the testing and analysis done? Are we on point? Because now advisor 1's going to go to lunch at 12. Advisor 2 is going to go to lunch at 1. Everybody comes back. Even during the week, the guys know to shut down at 12 o'clock. Everybody stops working except for the one person answering phones. And then from there, at 2 o'clock is our next check-in. So 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then finally at 4 o'clock, are we on point to be able to get this car out? Because they've built the rule in the shop.
The 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, those aren't company meetings. That's quick stand-ups.
5-minute check-ins. Are we on point? Did we hit our mark? Did you put it to the status change? Are you going to be ready to pass the baton off to the next individual, which is going to close out the paperwork and make sure that the quality control inspection is done? All the check marks are identified. If there's a repair that the client didn't buy, did it go into the CRM? Did it go into what is lost sales? And now the system is going to reach back out to the client, because that's very important.
Yeah. Oh, that is important. Now, to Jason's question, so I was building up here because I was inquiring for myself. to Jason's question, which is you have these, he started doing weekly meetings with his technicians on Monday mornings. How long are your weekly meetings? You guys do lunch.
We do lunch. We purchase lunch.
So
We have
for an hour?
Yeah, it's an hour. We have one of our second service advisor kind of headed out. He figures out what everybody wants to eat. We have a budget of $15 per person, and we figure out where everybody wants to eat, and then we'll order it, go pick it up, and have lunch at noon. And it usually goes from noon to 1 o'clock. And the first 15 minutes we'll spend obviously on eating. And what we'll do is we will choose some kind of training video. The tips from the Institute were super helpful. We would watch the tips quite often when we went through all of them. So actually we went through all of them, and then we kind of went back and listened to a few of them that we felt were really good to kind of go over.
Technician time management, communication between advisors. This is really the time where the owner, put your CEO hat on and say, okay, if I'm the owner of this business, how do I want to cultivate the team mindset? And this is now how you can use that to mold your team for the first 15 minutes. Because now we call it's part of lunch and learn, right? So 15, 20 minutes, we learn what we're going to be educating ourselves on, and then we'll go ahead and start the meeting agenda. And we try to keep it to about an hour, max 15. I'm a little bit of a chatter, so
Tim sometimes goes over.
Give or take 15 minutes.
But that first 15 minutes, we do the training so everybody can eat and not have to worry about talking.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, that way they're listening, they're watching, they're listening, they can eat. To Jason's question, would you be willing to share your meeting agenda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I've sent I did a follow-up from the last, from the summit. There's a quick little video that I created. I'm going to be putting it on YouTube as to how to do the meeting, how to set it up. And then there was another one that we created that was about 28 minutes that really had the entire meeting recorded. Now I regret not having the Lovets and Learns on there, because the Lovets and Learns have become my absolute favorite part of the meeting.
I think it's everybody's favorite part.
Then we need to record one of those.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so now to Betty's question, she's asking, why are you doing your meetings on a Wednesday? Shouldn't it be like a Monday or a Friday type of deal? Why did you choose Wednesday? Which I'm inquiring as well.
Good question. Wednesday is a good middle point because we want self-accountability. So if we have it on Monday, you kind of lose that steam, as it were. So from Wednesday to Wednesday gives you enough time, because when you come in on Monday, it's a written agenda. You know what you ought to be doing. So when I come in on Monday as an owner, I know these are my management and marketing things I got to do. Management Mondays, marketing Mondays. As an owner, this is what I got to do. So if I'm acting this way, then the staff is acting this way as well. So they go, okay, cool. What promise did I make on the last Wednesday meeting that on Monday I got to start acting on? On Tuesday, let's say I'm off beat, right? Monday. I wasn't on point on Monday. Now I have Tuesday to be able to go, oh yeah, I said I was going to run to Home Depot and get X, Y, and Z, right? Because when Wednesday comes, now you got to have committed to what you're doing. Oh, by the way, we don't conduct the whole meeting. We have James, our shop foreman. He's the secretary, as it were. So he'll start the meeting on time. We have a timekeeper who keeps the time, and then he'll give I'll do a operations and managers report. Johanna will do an administrator and HR safety report, and then he'll go back to James. Then he'll switch it on over to Kevin, who's our service manager. And Kevin's basically, he goes over the financials. Hey guys, this was our goal for last week. Like Johanna said, what was our gross profit dollar per hour? What's our ARO? You know, how are we doing? Who needs assistance to do what? We use the dashboard of the Institute to understand where our numbers are. Johanna and I set the goals at the beginning of the month, and then the staff weekly works towards achieving that goal. So Wednesday gives you a good middle point to make sure to stay on your schedule, stay on point, so that you can get to what you need to. And it still gives them the freedom without us having to micromanage and you know, get all into their business. Self-accountability.
Yeah.
I
love that.
To better answer Betty's question too, Wednesday works for us. It gives Kevin time to put the numbers together. Mondays are usually super busy for us. Fridays are really, really busy for us. So I feel like if we tried to put a meeting in on a Monday maybe, but Friday, it would just be disastrous because there's so much going on Fridays. Everybody wants their car back before the end of the weekend. So that would just be, for us, it would be too difficult. But I would say do whatever works best for your shop. Our shop does run a little bit differently than a lot of shops. We're very heavy on upsells and keeping cars in for a little bit more than a day. We don't often like get you in, get you out immediately because, you know, we do inspections. We try to let you know what's going on with your car. We try to see if we can get, upsells and things along those lines. So a lot of times we have cars in for multiple days. So we're not an in and out shop. So I feel like in and out shops, it might be a little bit easier to do a different day. This just works out for our shop. So I would say kind of see what works out best for your shop. It's just kind of how it works for us. But I'd say check out and see how your workflow goes and everything, and then kind of choose accordingly from there.
I was going to 100% say exactly what you just did. Thank you, Johanna. What works for your shop? That's exactly it. Wednesdays work for you. Betty, maybe for you, it might be a Monday or it might be a Friday. Who knows? For Beamer PhD, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, we can use this as a tool as well. I'll give you a quick example of it. When we were hiring Jesse, our second service advisor, we tried something a little bit different this time. You know, we do have a motto in the shop. We hire together, we train together, we fire together. You know, so we all do everything for each other. One for all and all for one. So when we're attracting new talent, for example, you know, Jesse applied with us. He was working at the local BMW dealer. I wanted him to come meet the team, right? So we invited him for our Wednesday meeting so he can see how our team meshes together, how we play together, how we get along. And he came in and I introduced him to the team. The techs got to meet him. So it's not like this, who's this new guy that the owner hired? Is he going to take my job? Who's getting fired? Blah, blah, blah. It eliminates all of that because it now shows how united and the culture that we have, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. So it starts acclimating from day one, new hires. And believe me, from the work environment that we see around us, it's 180-degree difference. And it was like after the meeting, I got a text message from Jesse. It said, "When do I start?"
So right. That's the only question.
I mean, it just shows, you know, how strong the culture is when you work at building it together. And we're not shy. If you're new to our team, you know, you're going to do a love it and learn as well.
Yeah, I usually ask somebody who's visiting. We have a lot of shops ask if they can send their service advisors, their managers, their, you know, kind of their higher up
key
people.
Players. Yeah.
Yeah, they will actually often, or even themselves. We have a lot of shop owners that will come and visit with us. And they'll come for a Wednesday meeting and we just include them. We get them lunch as well. And we kind of show them what we do and they're usually blown away. So that happens quite often.
Yeah.
I don't know why I started that, but it's been useful. People really find it to be very useful to their shops too.
Are you asking the guests to give the lunch and learn as well?
Yes. So I usually ask them. I say, hey, I don't want to put you on the spot. Thank you for reminding me. I say, hey, I don't want to put you on the spot, but this is what we do. So let me explain the Love It and Learns because we kind of talked about it, but not really explained it. So we like to end the meeting on something, not that it's not positive, but something really positive, something fun. So Tim actually started it out. And so basically we like them to tell us one thing that they loved about the prior week and one thing that they've learned in the prior week. And at first we would just do it verbally and everybody was really uncomfortable because nobody had time to think about it. And then we'd be like, oh no, like who wants to go first? And nobody would want to go first because we'd be like, who could think of something quickly enough? And then some people would be like, I can't think of anything. And I remember I would always feel on the spot because I would have a hard time thinking of something. So then what we changed it to is we would give them a slip of paper and it says your name, love it and learn, and just write down your love it and learn before the meeting. That way you don't have to worry about coming up with something at the meeting. And then I wanted to make it a little bit more fun. And I thought, well, how about two things I wanted to make it more fun. Number one, I thought it would be nice to recognize somebody for doing something good in the shop. Yeah. So we now it's love it and learn and recognition. So I added an extra line, recognition. So if somebody, you're a technician and you're having a hard time diagnosing something and another technician came in and said, hey, what about this, this, and this? Why don't you try this? And gave him a little clue or gave him some advice or helped him to diagnose it. Well, he may say, hey, I want to recognize this technician for coming over and helping me when I was trying to diagnose this car. Or we have like a shop porter who's kind of like our apprentice as well. He like learns how to keep the shop clean and the flow of the shop, but also he's learning how to work on cars and maintenance and things like that. So a lot of times people will recognize him because of the fact that, he keeps the shop flow going and he's trying to help out and he's trying to, anticipate what the technicians need so that they can be a little bit more productive. So it's nice to have the recognition so that way you can feel good about recognizing somebody who did something good for you. And then to make it one step more fun, I got this I went on Amazon and I found this little tire candy dish. And it has a little cover and we put a little BMW Rondell on it. So it's a little tire. And then I have everybody do their Levits and Learns and Recognitions beforehand. We fold it up really small. I shake it up and it's almost like a Secret Santa. So I pass it around and say, somebody choose one, make sure you don't get your own. So now you don't even have to read your own. So Tim will be like, okay, I got James's, and he'll read what James loved about the week, what he learned in the week, and who he recognized. And so we all go around and we all read another person's Love It and Learn. So it's just kind of fun. Everybody enjoys doing it. It's a fun way to end the meeting, a positive way to end the meeting. And then James will James, who's the secretary, he'll put together who won, who got the most recognitions. And then another shop, when we were telling them about this, they said, hey, you know what you should do with that? You should, at the end of the quarter, find out who got the most recognitions and then give them some kind of reward. And we were like, that's a great idea. So we're going to do
done.
We're still talking about like what the reward should be. We're thinking like maybe like
last week
we
threw it out to the team.
Yeah.
And we said, what do you guys want to see? And the consensus I got was a paid day off would be nice. A $100 or $200 bonus would be nice.
Yeah. So we were thinking for the quarter, we'll do a bonus of some sort, and then whoever won it for the year, we'll give them an extra day off, paid day off the following year. And everybody liked that idea. So yeah, it's just kind of fun. Everybody enjoys it. It's a nice way to end the meeting and on an uplifting and positive point, and everybody kind of looks forward to it.
That is awesome.
And if I can add to it, I think what that really does for me is for the moment while that person's reading it, it gives you the opportunity to put yourself in that person's shoes, right? The Love It and Learns actually came from John Maxwell. I'm a big John Maxwell fan. And John Maxwell would always say, you should take some time to reflect at the end of the week. We're going 100 miles an hour. What does the experience that you had mean to you? What was a real takeaway that you had that you really loved? And I'll give you an example. Our C technician, Shane, he's super awesome. He's 21 years old. He's been an apprentice for 18 months, and then now he's doing another 18 months learning to be a C technician, being able to do parts replacement. So he was doing a transmission rebuild, right? So his Love It and Learn was make sure you drain the fluid before you take the pump out first. And the reason that came about is because, he's young, he's inexperienced. He didn't know. He took the bolts out and all the fluid leaked out. And so that's what he put in his loves. It is learned. He put, I love the fact that I was able to rebuild the transmission. My learn is make sure you drain the fluid before you take the pump out. And my recognition is to James for helping me put the transmission back together and that it runs. And for that moment, you just see it from his point of view and you think, how awesome. As an owner, you not only have opened up an opportunity, but as owners, it's not our job to do the job. It's your job to provide jobs and teach them to be able to do the job. And they love it. And that gives me such a warm feeling. It's the same feeling that I get when I put the car together and I press that start stop button or turn the key. It's running on its own. It's better. And everybody's working together in a way that the customers really see that.
They can see it. They can feel it. They can sense it. They can smell it. They can absorb it. They can touch it. It's palatable in shops when you know that it's a good environment or a toxic environment. I've been in shops all over North America, and it is absolutely paramount. So here's a question for you as we wind up this hour. I can't believe it's already been an hour, by the way. What advice would you give to shop owners that are struggling to maintain a culture in their company, in their shops? When they're trying to grow their teams, they're struggling to maintain culture. What advice would you give them?
I would say there's two ways that you can approach it. There's two beliefs. There's the blame it on everybody else belief, which is let's just wait and see what happens. And it's not my fault. I didn't know, and we'll call that below the line thinking, right? It's not me. It wasn't me. It was everybody
blame. It's
else's
victimism.
problem,
Yeah.
right. Or there's the above the line thinking, right? And this is the belief that I can do this. So we need to start with, do you see it? Do you own it? Are you able to solve the problem yourself? And what needs to be done about it? And this way, what it does is it builds a self-accountability system, because now the person, whoever, whether it's the owner, the service advisor, all the way down to the shop helper, right? What was your contributing factor? How did you own the solution? And what else could you try differently to make it work for the team? And then now that builds you the confidence to be able to go, I can do it. And once you get to that point, now you can help somebody else with it. So those would be the two ways that I see it, especially past the summit. I really took away a lot of good points from Dr. Jessica. She was, I urge you guys, if you're watching the Carmen Capiato podcast, watch that one.
Just came out.
That she had on there. Yeah, it was
out
recently. It's very, very good. And it's basically like tools, guys. You open your toolbox, or you're always going to the Snap-on or the Macro Truck building tools. This is your business tools that you're putting in your toolbox. A scanner is no good if you're not using it. So these skills are no good if you're not actually implementing them and trying them. And you're going to fail at first, but what do they say? If at first you don't succeed,
try again.
Keep trying.
Yeah,
I would say
so true.
Build your vision and your mission and your purpose.
Yeah.
What kind of culture do you want in your shop? And once you've created that with yourself, or you and your business partner, or you and your manager, figure out what it is that you want that culture to be. And then you need to share that culture with your team. Or you know what? You can even include your team on it. Hey, I feel like maybe we can improve our culture here. What kind of culture would you like to see in the shop? And then get that, because that actually creates buy-in. So sometimes that's even better. So you want to have a conversation with them. You want to include them. You want them to be on board with you. And then the hard part about creating a good culture in your shop is if you have a person who's not on board with your culture, they might be a high producer, they might be a high seller, but if they're not on board with your culture, or they're toxic in your shop, it's really hard to let those kinds of people go. But you usually find out afterwards that you're much better off without them. And even sometimes your people who you thought weren't as good producers, either salesmen or technicians, they will usually rise, because before they were being held back by that toxic person. Sometimes those people
100%.
will rise, and you'll be floored how talented they are. There was one shop that we knew that had 2 service advisors. The one service advisor was a rock star. He would sell everything, but he was a little bit toxic, not crazy toxic, but a little bit toxic. And they finally got rid of him. And the second service advisor, who they thought was just kind of average, oh my goodness, he rose to the top. He is amazing. He's still their #1 service advisor. And I see him all the time at like our meetings and stuff, because he's local here in our area in Southern California. And he's the nicest, sweetest guy. And he's making them all kinds of sales, and the shop's happier and everything. So I would say that start with your mission, vision, and purpose. Figure out what you want the culture to be with your shop. Make sure everybody's on board with it. If they are not on board with it, you need to get rid of them, because if you start showing some employees that you're willing to put up with people not being on board, then why would the people who are willing to be on board feel like they need to be on board? Well, you're not making the other person be on board, so why do I need to worry about it? And then when you're hiring, you need to start hiring for your culture, because if you're going to hire, you need to make sure that those people fit into your culture.
And you know what will happen, Jimmy, is the bad apple. Betty was talking about it takes one. The bad apple will find his way out, because he'll see that one of these things doesn't belong, like Sesame Street. Back to the basics. One of these things just doesn't belong, and you can hide, but ultimately, we had a scenario where we had somebody that had to go, and the team said, hey, they got to go. They took the initiative to say, this is not good for us. It's not good for you. And this is a decision. And it was one of the more quiet members of our team. And we listened.
Interesting.
Because when it changed, we were all like, wow, now you give a lot more admonition to the person that rose to that occasion to say, like, wow, that was really brave of you to, call that person out on their mistake or their outcome, as it were. And so,
or their attitude,
and
that employee would act differently around us than they would around
correct
the rest of the staff. So we necessarily didn't see it, but because we listened to our staff, we saw that they weren't a correct person in our culture.
So it's nonstop, ever growing teamwork, Jimmy.
Evergreen, yes, ever growing, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for sharing. I've got some. I want to go to some quick one-word answers, rapid fire culture questions for you. You ready for this? Okay, Johanna, you answer first, and then Tim.
Okay.
Okay, so and you got 5 seconds to answer, and then I go on to the next question. Culture in one word, Johanna.
Atmosphere.
Tim.
Beliefs.
Your leadership style, Johanna.
Chill.
Tim.
Clear communication.
That's 2 words, but I'll still take it. Most important value in a team.
Camaraderie.
Love it.
Ethics.
Ethics. Oh, I love that. Your shop's vibe.
Fun.
Fun.
Nice. Biggest culture killer.
Anger.
Deception.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. What drives your team?
Vision.
Unity.
Love it. One non-negotiable in your shop.
Attitude. Good attitude.
Do the right thing.
Love it. Success feels like
making other people successful.
Winning.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining today and talking about your company culture. Tim, we didn't even get to talk about your employee that came back and said, I don't care where I work. You can put me under whatever. I don't care. I just want to be here.
I guess we need a round 2 then.
You have established a phenomenal company culture. And Tim, Johanna, I'm down. Let's do it. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Absolutely, for sure. Thank you so much, you guys.
We appreciate it.
Have a great day today.
We attribute a lot of the things that we done successful with the things that we learned from the Institute. So we want to give a shout out to you and the entire team at the Institute, all the coaches, all the people in the background that, some of them even get embarrassed when you name them or put them on the spotlight. But you know what? If it wasn't for all of those people, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So together, teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, it's so true. So true. The final slide that's going to come up here, it'll be up for about 30 seconds. So get out your smartphone, scan the QR code. Let's connect. Let's see if the Institute is a good solution for you to help you have a great foundation to build a company culture that you enjoy, not one that you endure. With that, thank you very much. Have a great day.